It means a lot to see so many folks here. I know it's a controversial topic. It's kind of scary coming out, especially when you're right in the police precinct. But this, I'd rather have you doing it this way. We're not trying to hide anything. We've been all over the state: Paducah, Pikeville, Berea, Owensboro, to the public libraries, and introduce you to Eric and Michelle. Eric's from Maysville. We've got Jaime Montalvo as our director. My name's Dan Symes Jr. I try to work with the veterans and some of the legislative affairs. Before we start, I want to give you a quote that kind of set off the marijuana prohibition. It's very controversial. You got to understand what the climate was like in 1936. When the first drug czar, Harry Anslinger, gave a testimony to Congress to bring the Marijuana Tax Act into fruition. And here's what he said to Congress. He said, "There's 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the U.S., and most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz and swing, result from marijuana usage. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and any others." Now, it's kind of funny, but it's serious, because they locked millions of people up over that bigoted lie. They've taken babies away from people who've been caught with cannabis. They've denied veterans cannabis who begged for it, saying they need it to help them with the nightmares. They've taken they've taken all your people's land and property. This is serious, and it's all over this law. Eric Crawford is here from Maysville. He's going to give you a little history on this prohibition. He's going to give you a little story about how he got involved in this movement. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let Jaime Montalvo come and introduce you to the research that we've discovered that's been going on for over 40 years on our dime. You're going to find out some really important information and things that will probably shock you. And one thing that I want you guys to understand is we're not here for a pot party. We're not here to shove anything down anybody's throat. We're here to try to get at least 150,000 people that we know of in Kentucky safe access to medical cannabis. We know that we've got a battle. We know we've got to be smart about this, and I think we're going about the right way. We're starting to get some attention in Frankfurt. Before I say anything else, I do want to introduce you to Eric Crawford. He'll tell you a little bit, and then after Jaime's done, I'll come back and we'll kind of tell you what you need to do to get involved and to help get some things changed around, get these laws changed. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Eric Crawford, and you guys who kind of listen to his story, and we'll let him have at it. Eric has been doing this 3 years with us, and he's been here from Maysville. He comes up, his wife has to put him in the car, and if you knew what it was like to get him in the car and out, but he's doing it. He don't want to have to leave and go to Colorado. But like he told you, he's got doctors here in Kentucky, in Louisville, that says if he doesn't consume cannabis, he'll be blind in a year. That's all he's got left. He's been a quadriplegic for 22. You don't have to consume cannabis to speak up for Eric. That's one of the things that you need to know. You don't have to go in and say, hey, I smoke pot, I want it legal. Say, no, I want this guy to get safe access, or I want these vets. He's doing his part. It's a struggle to get him here. but it's all he's got left. And I ask that you support him, if not anyone else. Jaime got a lot of important information that he has we've discovered, and you'll see that there's been the lies, and some of the information you're going to find out is it's overwhelming to understand, to know that this is still illegal, and we've got to do something about it. So Jaime, if you'd start the presentation. Thanks everyone. Thanks Jaime. I'll probably repeat myself a couple times, repeat some things you've heard, but I'll tell you how I got into this. I've been working in the political field for quite a while. My father's a state senator. He's in leadership. He's been a senator or in politics for over 30 years. I've been in the process. We worked on getting the helmet law, helmets off of us. Took us 10 years, but we did it. Ironically, most of you guys have to wear seat belts. So don't think this can't be done. This law will be changed. Kentucky's got a weird way of doing things, but we can get this done. It's going to be a slow process. But the things that we have got to do is get back involved in the game. We have a lot of apathy in our generation. We've given up on government. We've given up on politicians. We're sick of them. We're sick of what they do. We're sick of the hypocrisy. And we just said, just forget it all. I'll take I'll just go do what I got to do in my house and forget everything. But what happens is, because we become so apathetic and because we give up, they keep going. The wheels keep turning and laws keep getting made, and they can be oppressive, and they keep things like this down. So we've got to get back involved. And to get involved, it's going to take some wheels. It's going to take people getting up and doing something. We kind of make a mistake by saying contact your legislator in Frankfort, and you need to, but they need to hear from their constituents in their hometown, and they need to hear from not just one, but they need to hear from all of them that's concerned about this, and they will do something. Keep in mind, again, there's 138 legislators that are in office here in Kentucky, and they make the laws for 4.3 million of us. That's a lot of control and a lot of power. Now, if these guys think it's not a lot of money. Believe me, it's not a lot of money. But the power far exceeds the money, believe me. And if folks think that seat's in jeopardy, then they'll start listening. They're not going to listen. If I go to Henry County and talk to a legislator, they hear it goes in one ear and out the other, because I have no say-so whether they're going to keep that seat or not. But if you live in that county, you got a big say-so, especially if you get out and start talking to people and saying, look, this is absurd, and we need to go to our legislator and we need to get him to listen to this. For example, we had a legislator, he was a freshman, Senator West, that got elected, special election out of Mason County. Eric's from Mason County, and he had made call after call, and the guy would not return a call. So I said, Eric, we're just going to wheel you up there. And we wheeled him up there, and we got in his office, and he said, I just want to tell you right now, you're preaching to the choir. I'm for you. He said, but I'm not going to let that be my first piece of legislation. And it just went through me, because he wanted to play politics with Eric's eyesight. And I wasn't going for it. We left, and it just made me mad, and I said, you know what, that ain't going to work. I said, Eric and Michelle, we're going to get you back. You need to write a letter. We need to get to him and say, look, they have been to Mason County to their fiscal court and got a resolution from the court that said if Frankfort moves on creating safe access, that we support that. They went and did that, a quadriplegic and his wife. He's got a paper from his doctor that says if he doesn't consume cannabis, he's going blind in a year. I said, now, another thing is, you tell them that you voted him in office and that you expect him to go fight for you. He's done his homework. So when they put it to Senator West that way, he said, give me a list of those who are for and against, and he's been on it, and he finally co-sponsored our bill this year. Might have been late, but he did it. His name's on record. He's going to do it again. We didn't get nasty, but we did assert ourselves a little bit. when we first got in this movement, I had been working with Normal for a long time, and the problem we had there, God bless Gatewood Galbraith, good friend of mine, but we had the folks that were showing up, they were showing up in Woodstock stuff, and they were doing whirling dervishes in the hallways, and they were barefooted, you know, and then our legislators, you know, they didn't have the respect to go in front of this high court like you would in front of a judge, you know, and these guys just kept, you know, just pushing them off, and they were not getting anywhere. And when we got into this movement, we seen that, and we made some people pretty mad at us. But once they started realizing, hey, these guys are for real, because we suited up. I don't like to put a suit on, you know, and Eric don't like to have to come from Mason County every time, but they see that we're for real, and they're finally getting in line, you know, and they're showing a little more respect. And believe it or not, a lot of them in Frankfurt, they demand that respect. There's a lot of narcissism going on there, and they just want that respect. They're going to get it. But and that said, you know, they've earned it. They've worked their butts off to get there. How many of us have put our hat in the ring to run for office and represent our people? Not many. But I'll tell you, we've got one in our group, Tim Simpson. I can't remember what county he's from. Got a long beard and hair. He's a supporter. He ran for city council and won. So we don't have to give up. If you guys, you can get in this game. You can run for office. And you're not exempt from that. You're not exempt from going to your legislator who you get in office and say, hey, we want you to represent this. And anybody that says they're against it, all you got to do is look at that daggone comment, that testimony he gave, that Anslinger gave, said about the 100,000 marijuana smokers being Negroes and Filipinos and Latinos, and they white women feel like they want to have sex with the blacks. I mean, that was why this is illegal. And for anybody to uphold that, shame on them. Shame on them. Don't let them uphold that law anymore without getting in their face, but with respect, and saying this has got to stop. And the thing is, there was nothing about the health of us, of the American citizens, when this law was done. And now they're trying to come up with all these things. Well, marijuana's a gateway drug and blah, blah, blah. Marijuana was in the PDRs and doctors were prescribing it with great success, and now they were forced to find alternative medicines. And they're scampering around to find stuff that's going to help these people. And guess what? Turned out to be the drugs that got us hooked and you know, dependent upon and sick and everything else, as long as the FDA stamped it and the government got their teeth. It's got to